Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have an awesome breakfast meal planned today. We're gonna make a frittata. It is a gluten-free, dairy-free frittata with bacon and sweet potatoes and some zucchini that I grew from the garden, and I'm so excited to show it to you today. So come on board with me and learn a new and exciting, easy recipe to be able to plan for your week. See you in a little bit. Hey there, I am actually gonna be peeling some sweet potatoes right now, getting these ready to go and roast into the oven. And we're gonna have a frittata from this. I'm still in my pajamas, by the way. And I'm not sure why I'm whispering, but it's probably so that other people don't come and see what it is that I'm doing. But I'm gonna go ahead and peel these potatoes, get them roasting in the oven. I'm gonna use them as just a simple side for this weekend. I just like to have roasted potatoes, and then I'm gonna put it in a frittata that I'm gonna make out of some zucchini. My cats are meowing. Some zucchini that I have, I grew in my garden, and I put it in the freezer. I actually learned that you can just freeze it and be able to use it for other things if you shred it. So that is what I'm up to this morning. What are you guys up to this morning? I've had my coffee right here. I'm drinking it black right now. I'm avoiding any like cream or dairy because I am on a food plan called Whole30 to kind of reduce inflammation and stuff. I have had some health issues in the past that have caused a lot of inflammation, and inflammation in stress is actually a pretty awful thing to have, and I don't know how most of us can avoid that with the things that are in our food lately and just the amount of pressure that everybody's under in life in general. So I use Whole30 as a reset on my body so that I can have everything go back to a balanced state, and it's helped me lose weight, and it's reduced my inflammation, and I have better energy, and it's kind of, it's a lifestyle, which I'm not good at sticking to this lifestyle all the time, but it's been something that has proven to really work well for me. So I think I'm gonna clean up my messy counter now and get back to cooking. Now I'm gonna put some bacon in the oven too with this. So this next step is to cook bacon in the oven, and I usually use a cookie sheet with tin foil, and I lay my bacon out flat, evenly spaced from each other, and sometimes I try to get the whole entire pack on there, but it can be a little tricky to do. This I only used 5 pieces. I put it in the oven for 400 degrees for 18 minutes. That's the perfect temperature and the perfect amount of time, and the bacon stays crispy and flat and amazing.
Been a long time.
So right now I am just cubing up these sweet potatoes, and I like to lay out parchment paper for potatoes, not foil. I use foil for bacon. I don't know why. I think because I like to fold it up better. But then I'm going to put some bacon grease, which you might want to use some other things to roast with, but I like that. It gives it the smoky meat flavor, and it'll make it nice and caramelized and brown. It's awesome. You can also put like some onions with this if you want to make like kind of a hash. But I'm just doing it real simple with salt and pepper and bacon grease. On Whole30 you can actually have bacon. Make sure that I don't take my fingernail off. but I like to make little cubes because they cook a little bit faster to go all the way through. And it's a nice little bite size to use, especially when you're making like frittata or anything like that. It's just delicious. And the frittata is gonna have bacon and sweet potatoes, so you get that sweet and salty together, which is like some of my favorite flavors. So now I have this bacon grease here. I keep it in a jar next to my stove. It's great. I'm just gonna kind of dabble some of that on here. And then I can like kind of salt it after the fact, because this grease probably has plenty of salt in it already from the bacon. My hands are clean. I'm just gonna get all up in there and just smush it around. Coat those bad boys. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Kind of looks like cheese. All right, good. Into the oven. It's gonna go for probably about 30 minutes and at 400 degrees. And we're gonna give that a try, and then I'll test it and revisit it after that to make sure it's soft and it's crispy on the outside. So I put the sweet potatoes in the oven at 400 degrees and I cook them for about 35 to 45 minutes. They take a little bit longer and you do have to stir them up, but they're nice and brown and great to use for sides. Okay, so I'm ready to take the bacon out of the oven and we'll see how it looks. It's been in there for 18 minutes now. And got our sweet potatoes going in there. And I don't want it all the way done because I'm gonna use it to put in the frittata, but look, this is so awesome. I love baking bacon in the oven because it stays flat and it doesn't shrink up and shrivel up. And then you can throw all this away when you're done and it's less mess to clean up. But we're gonna save this grease too because it's like gold. Okay, so I'm gonna take my bacon, I'm gonna put it on a little paper towel to dry out. It's like the last paper towel I have under my sink right now. I need to go, I keep them stored at the top of my closet. So I'm just gonna take these out to drain. They're really like perfect. These are perfect. Okay, so I got my bacon grease jar here. Got my hot mitt, get another one, just to be safe. And I'm just gonna pour off whatever grease I have because I do like to repurpose this grease. Hopefully I won't make too much of a mess. You can use this grease for so many good things. Cooking other meats, like especially like a pork tenderloin or, you know, steaks. You can put it, make it in your green beans, whatever you want a bacony flavor. So okay, I've got this here, got my bacon grease saved. I'm gonna keep it in the jar so nothing gets in it. And you just wanna leave it out room temperature. You don't need to put it in the refrigerator. It'll make it too hard anyway. So, all right, that's it. On to the next. Okay, so for the next step, I am gonna crack all of these eggs in here because I bought fresh eggs yesterday. All these are gonna go into the compost, the shells, because they are awesome for composting. I'm gonna whisk all of these together. I like to use a fork and not a whisk. I'm just old school like that. So now I am gonna finish with the rest of the ingredients, and I'm gonna dice a half of an onion. I have one left over in the refrigerator, but I need to use that. And so it's kind of needing some TLC here. I think it's kind of an old onion, but that's all right. Still totally good. So I'm gonna dice it up, and before we put the frittata, or before we actually put the egg in there, I'm gonna heat up some bacon grease in the skillet, and I'm gonna caramelize these onions. And usually I can chop onions pretty well, but it's still early. I'm still in my pajamas, y'all. I'm about to go get cleaned up and get this day going. But first, sometimes you just gotta have some breakfast. So, all right. So I'm just gonna put, because I'm gonna chop up this bacon here, I'm gonna just put this onion right here on the side, because I don't want to add it to the egg mixture, because I don't want those onions to be just translucent, because when you caramelize an onion, it becomes sweet. It's not spicy or tastes oniony, it tastes completely different. So I also want to add some zucchini from the garden that I want to add, that I took out to defrost. I kind of need to, okay, I had to kind of wring it out a little bit, get a lot of the water and the moisture out. Put that in there, some good vegetables and vitamins, and beat this thing up. And we're gonna chop some spinach, fresh spinach. And this is a great gluten-free, dairy-free frittata if you cannot have cheese or wheat, and you want to, or even grains, and you want to, you know, try to reduce your inflammation, or maybe you're allergic or whatnot. It's just really good as a good hearty meal, and I like to make it ahead of time because then I'm not tempted to eat things that I should not. This is great on the go. You can portion it out. If you have like little Tupperware containers or just meal prepping containers, you can buy those. There's like 10 in a pack at Target. Let's see, let's take this out. And I'm just gonna chop this bacon up. All this took is like 4 pieces of bacon, unless you are a real meat eater. I didn't need a ton of it, but it's just, my husband and I are gonna be the only ones that are eating this. So, make sure we don't leave any pieces out. Bacon is pretty important, especially in our house. All right, so, gonna wash my hands. Okay, I just do some ground sea salt here. Even though the bacon's pretty salty, I just add a little bit more. And a little fresh cracked pepper here. And get my fork back. Just kind of mix it up. Now, we still have the sweet potatoes to add to this, which they'll be out in a little while, and the onions. So that's gonna give you more volume in your frittata. So if you are running kind of short on eggs, the more stuff that you add to it, the more volume it's gonna add, and the least amount of eggs that you really need. But I feel like this is a good amount of eggs to have. So, okay, on to the next step. Okay, so I've got this pan here. This is safe to actually put in the oven, because after you get this all browned on the bottom, you're gonna wanna put it in the oven at 350. There's my potatoes, but I'm gonna give the potatoes a few more minutes, and I'm gonna let this bacon grease cook in here in the meantime with, let's see, that? No, those are fine. I thought it was like little skin on the onions, but I think it's all right. With these onions and get them started on caramelizing. Got it on a high heat, and I have my, ooh, shaky. I have it on the largest burner on the stove. I love a good frittata. I actually went to a friend's house in Louisiana. She made me a frittata, and I forgot how good they were. And it's a really simple thing. Like if you want to invite somebody over and you don't know what to make, a frittata is where it's at, because it's like everything that you need all dumped into one dish, and it's amazing. And it looks like you went to a whole lot of effort when you really didn't. Y'all, I gotta clean up my kitchen. Okay, so as you can see, we're getting some good color on these onions. And that's exactly what we want, because that's when it starts to turn really sweet on you. And you gotta keep them moving because you don't want them to burn either. And I have this on a really high heat. Okay, so I got my onions. They look nice and golden, nice and a dark brown, and I turned my fire off so I wouldn't run the risk of burning them, because you don't want to do that. But I'm going to take, let's see, some of these sweet potatoes and put those in here, because they got good and soft in the, well, maybe I'll turn my fire back on a little bit. Is it on? Nope, just let it go. There we go. I love the sweet and salty contrast in a frittata like this. It's so good. Still, it's really, the cookie sheet's really hot. So I'm just going to coat these, fry them up a little bit, get it nice and even, because when I pour the egg over, you don't really want to disturb it. So I want a nice even coating of these potatoes. Alright, so now I'm going to turn the fire down low. I got our egg mixture, and I'm just going to pour it in there. Alright, got our egg and spinach, and I just want to kind of even it out a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook this to where the sides start to kind of come in. You're going to know, you see a ring around here where it's kind of done on the bottom and the sides. Turn my heat up a little bit, and then we're going to put it in the oven to bake, and so that the center will be done better, and it's going to be so good, so good. Okay, so one thing I do is I pull down the sides of this frittata, and I allow the raw egg part to kind of go back on the sides. That helps kind of cook it. Cook it a little bit more in the center and kind of hurry that part along, because the sides seem to like cook first, and then you can kind of, you know, gently move some of this stuff out so it doesn't push everything to the middle, but it'll just help get this cooking a little bit faster, and so you can also pull the sides away better whenever you go to cut it. And I don't even know if I greased the sides very well. I know I did the bottom, but I guess we're gonna find out. So when you start to you see how it's looking a little bit more done over here? So I'm pulling away the sides over here, and I don't have much raw egg that kind of comes off to the sides anymore. See how it's looking a little bit more done? That's how you know it's just about time to go put it in the oven, is when you can pull it away from the sides like that, and you don't have a whole lot of raw egg running to those sides like that. That's how I can tell, at least. Okay, so I've got this awesome frittata here. It's going in the oven at 350 for, I'm gonna try it for 10 minutes. All into the oven, uncovered. Set the timer for 10 minutes. And we're gonna see what happens after 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be done by then. The bottom seemed to be cooking really well and evenly, and you don't want it to be too well done on the top because it continues to cook even when you take it out of the oven. So we're gonna wait for 10 minutes and see how it looks when we pull it out. Okay, so I put it in there for 10 minutes, but I had to add 5 more minutes to this frittata, but it looks like it's done now. All right, so here we have it. It is nice and solid in the middle, and as it rests, it's gonna continue to cook before we slice it. Okay, so our frittata is done, and it looks so good. Try to figure out how to get, the first piece is always the toughest. Got my silicone spatula here. No, this is never gonna work out great. Kind of loosen it up here. Ah! All right. Look at that. Looks awesome. Okay, so we've got sweet and salty. It's really hot. Bacon, zucchini, spinach. I'm hoping this tastes good. It looks like it's gonna be really hot. Yeah, this is really good. You got bacon and onion in there, I taste that. All right, so here you go. This is a gluten-free, dairy-free frittata with bacon, sweet potato, spinach, and zucchini. Enjoy.
Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.